Alright, so here's the scene. You're at home watching a movie. You just got done with a super sick action sequence. But now there's a really critical piece of dialogue that's being delivered by a character and you can't understand anything. You lean in and really open up your earballs, but nothing's coming out. So you go to turn up the volume and suddenly a loud action scene or explosion. You panic, you grab the remote, volume down, 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 down. Now you can't even hear the next line of dialogue. So you turn it back up and the cycle continues. Up, down, up, down, up, down. At some point you give up and just turn the subtitles on. This raises a serious question. Why are we watching $200 million movies with subtitles on? Now, a lot of people point to one director as the main culprit behind this whole trend, Christopher Nolan. Now, to be clear, Christopher Nolan is one of the most respected filmmakers working today, and personally one of my all-time favorites. But he does have a really unique perspective on audio design. He treats it as a contributor to his films and the overall immersive experience, and he'd rather not use it as just a simple dialogue delivery system. Now, sometimes it is an artistic choice. It shows a preference towards the overall immersive experience over more traditional studio mixed dialogue. It also is more natural to the environment, and in some instances is deliberately used for narrative ambiguity, and nobody does this better than Christopher Nolan.
The structure of the vaults is based on the pentagon, each vault a separate structure within the others. Damage to one structure won't compromise the others.
In interviews, he talked about how dialogue isn't always the most important part to a scene. Sometimes it's just another sound element, another texture in the mix, another piece of the experience. He prefers what he calls visceral sound design. He wants you to feel the moment, not just understand every individual word. So instead of dialogue sitting clearly on top of everything, it's often blended into music, sound effects, engine noise, wind, and even explosions. And the result is a mix that feels huge and immersive when you're in the movie theater. But at home, it can be really hard to understand. And Nolan isn't the only one doing this. His influence has spread across the entire industry. So now, a lot of modern movies are following his same style. This brings us to the first big reason dialogue sounds different today. If you go back and watch older movies, something feels, or rather sounds, very different. Watch a scene from something like Casablanca. The actors speak clearly, confidently, projecting their voice, even in quiet scenes.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
That's because the acting used to be much more theatrical. Actors were trained to project their voices to the back of a theater. And early film microphones weren't very sensitive, so if you didn't speak clearly, the audience literally wouldn't hear you. But today, we have tiny lapel microphones, ultra-sensitive boom mics, and high-end digital recorders. You can whisper, mumble, or even barely move your lips, and the microphone will still pick it up. So, acting styles have changed. Modern performances often aim for realism, more natural, intimate, and subtle. Which sounds great on set and in the theater, but in a noisy living room or through cheap TV speakers, a subtle performance can be almost impossible to hear.
The second reason has nothing to do with acting. It's about where movies are mixed. Similarly to my last video about lighting and color grading, a lot of these movies are mixed for giant theaters, not your living room.
In cinema, you've got dozens of speakers, massive subwoofers, perfect acoustic treatment, and a carefully calibrated environment. And those systems can handle something called dynamic range. Dynamic range is the difference between the quietest sounds and the absolute loudest sounds. In a theater, you can have a whisper at one moment and a thunderous explosion in the next, and it feels incredible and immersive. But at home, you're often listening through tiny TV speakers, a basic soundbar, or maybe even just your phone or laptop. These speakers can't handle that same dynamic range.
So what happens is, the quiet parts become too quiet, and the loud parts become overbearingly loud. It's why you end up riding the volume button all night while your spouse or parent is trying to get some sleep in the other room.
Now here's something a lot of people don't talk about. And this is more from a filmmaking perspective.
There's a saying on film sets, picture is king. This means often directors have to make a choice between either the perfect audio or the perfect shot, and the shot usually wins.
Why? Because if the boom microphone gets too close, it might dip into the frame or cast a shadow, ruin the lighting, or break up the composition. Modern movies are extremely particular about their visuals, understandably so. So sometimes the microphone has to stay further away than what would be ideal, which means dialogue is recorded from a distance, or it sounds thinner and noisier. Sometimes the editors have to just fix it in post. This might mean noise reduction, audio replacement, or really heavy processing. And all of that can make the dialogue sound less clear or more muddy, especially once it's mixed with the music and sound effects.
So you're asking yourself, is there anything I can do about this? The short answer is yes. Even though most of us aren't mixing these movies ourselves in a $100,000 studio booth, there are some things you can do at home with your television or soundbar that help a lot.
Switch your TV to stereo or 2.0 mode. A lot of TVs default to fake surround sound, but if there's only 2 speakers, the mix can bury dialogue. Switching to stereo often makes voices much clearer. Also try turning it on to night mode or dynamic range compression. Most TVs and soundbars have this option. It makes quiet sounds louder and loud sounds quieter, so you don't have to constantly adjust the volume. Another thing you can try is boosting your center channel. If you have a soundbar or surround system, in most movie mixes, dialogue lives in the center channel, so turning that up slightly can make a huge difference.
But now I'm curious. Do you remember one movie that you absolutely had to watch with subtitles to avoid waking someone up in the next room? Let me know in the comments. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I sincerely hope I see you in the next one. It is an artistic choice. It shows... That one bothered me. You're not going deaf. Movies from this modern rather than just a fudge cookies. He uses it as a thing. He uses it as a thing because he's smart. He is.
Spaghetti.